Okay, we're off and running. Before we dive into this, so you have your profile in front of you, and I'm going to interact mostly with Scott because he's right in front of me. I want you guys to open up your profile, and while you're opening yours up, I'm going to open up mine, and I'm just going to screen share mine, and you're going to look at your own while we're talking. So what we're going to cover today are two things. We're going to identify your sweet spot in real estate, like role specific, and what all the roles could be for you. And we're going to talk about what that looks like for lead generation. So is it you're a single agent and what's your lead generation sweet spot, or are you really meant to be an admin, on a team and this is your sweet spot, or are you meant to be someone that's building a team? So we're going to uncover that for each of you. And what my goal is for today is for you to get clarity personally on that. And then for those of you that identify or feel that being part of something like a team, from admin all the way to Salesforce, if you feel like that might be next for you, you're going to complete a survey after this, and then I'm going to get with you and do a one-to-one verification of your full KPA, okay? Because we don't have enough time to do a one-to-one for everybody today, obviously, because it takes about an hour, but it is so compelling. And so so that's why we're just going to work off the personal. Hello, Tisa. Hello. And then we're going to dive in from that. So there's going to be two parts. We're going to get to know ourselves better, our lead generation style better. And then for those of you that want to move forward and talk about building a team or being on a team, if that's what comes out today, you'll complete a survey, and then that survey will give me what I need to know to meet with you next. Does that make sense? Questions?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, go for it. That makes sense? Anyone have a question on that? Okay, and it's a little challenging because I'm talking and talking, so hope I'm giving everyone enough attention. This is really stressful. I think that there should be a class on how to help a team leader become a trainer virtually and digitally at the same time. So the KPA, before we dive into this, why did Gary Keller spend millions of dollars building this platform? Because he was tired of watching agents fail out of the business that he personally would hire and believe in, and thought they're going to be great, and then they wouldn't do necessarily as good as what was expected. Or he also was tired of, and I should say, he was tired of watching teams just hire and implode, hire, implode, hire and implode. And it still happens. We still have people not succeed in the business, but the success rate from the people we've hired has gone through the roof since we've added this into the mix. And there's less turnover in the role. So when I got started, the average lifespan of a team leader was 8 months, and they would bite the dust. And then it went to 18 months. That was a much better improvement. And now it's 6 or 7 years. And it's because we're putting people in a role that they're gonna blossom in, not that they could make it for a while. So when you look at this personal report, we're gonna dive into this in a second, but I wanna first show you what the real full results look like. When you do a KPA, you get all the matches for every role. You guys do not have this specifically in front of you because I don't want to just hand this out like candy. This is a conversation to have, right? But you'll see that certain things I'm a really high match for. Thankfully, my job, right? I was telling Scott, like when they first put this out, I'm like, what if I don't score high for my job, right? Yeah, we all are. Let's just be honest. Like, what am I meant to do this? But when you look at what I'm not as good at, I really, really would not be someone you want to do accounting. Just letting you know. So Tana, yes, Melanie knows this.
Yeah, but that's what mine says.
Okay, well, that's because you're wired to be able to do that stuff. So you can be my accountant. No, just kidding. But I can still do accounting. I just will, at the end of the day, have a crink in my neck, probably a migraine, and be going home white, tired, not wanting to talk to people. Could I do it? Yeah. Am I going to be like, whoop, whoop, doing it? No, right? Just like listing assistant. You guys don't want to hire me for that. No, 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 no. However, if you look, for me, I don't score that high for single agent. I'm kind of in the middle, and I'm kind of lower. Now, here's what's interesting about single agent. Most of you are not going to score high for single agent, because single agent, if you really dive into this, single agent is that agent that really doesn't want any leverage. They like to only work by themselves. They don't want anyone helping out. They don't want someone doing their flyer. They think they're the only one that can do their flyer. They don't want to hand a buyer off for showings this weekend because they think the only reason that person is working with them is because of them. So just know that most of us will score low for single agent. And if you score high for mega agent and low for single agent, it means that you're meant to build people and build things. Where a single agent doesn't want to build anything, they don't want to babysit anyone, they don't want to be responsible for anyone, they want to be just singular. So sometimes people misunderstand some of these reports. But if you guys know me, you know I love people. I love people. I love growing people. I love collaborating with people. So I don't score that high for single agent. Now, could I sell houses by myself? Absolutely. But am I going to be lit up at the end of the day by doing it? No. In fact, if I did single agent, I probably would get bored with the business or distracted by some other project I could be doing, or really needing collaboration. So if I'm single agent, then I'd probably need really good buddies to come together with pretty regularly and brainstorm and mastermind. I probably would need a coach, you know, to keep me excited. So just know you can do any one of these things. Not any one of you can't do any of these. It's just at the end of the day, will you be lit up or will you be wiped out? Does that make sense? So when I give you these results, don't think you're going to be bad at real estate, because most people only score high for 3 or 4. 3 or 4. Now, some of you are like pages, like Tisa. I've seen yours before. She's pages of high. So that's unique. So just know if you get this and you're more mediums and lows, that's normal. So I don't want anyone thinking they have to quit their job or find a new gig or anything like that. So let's go to your personal report. Everyone take out your personal report. Again, if you don't have it, reach out to your front desk and she can quickly email you your results. Now we're going to look at page 1. This is really where we're going to spend a lot of our time right now, because you guys can read the bottom and laugh and giggle and be like, oh my God, this thing nailed me. And go through all these things. I'm going to actually give you some homework around this with a friend, because it's kind of boring just to read it by yourself. But I want to just focus on this chart here. So if we look at the chart, it has assertiveness. So I'm going to tell you, who's done the DISC profile before? Most, okay, all of us. All of us, anybody here? Okay, yep. Oh, look at that, auto zoom. Kevin got a new camera, it's pretty cool. It's back there, it says auto zoom. I could do like a cartwheel and it'd follow me. I won't, I have heels on, we could hurt ourselves. But the DISC profile, in the past, you guys have done the DISC profile, and it's very similar to this, but you'll see there's more than 4. It's assertiveness, sociability, responsiveness, structure, adaptability, intensity, and optimism. So it's similar to DISC, but this is like DISC on steroids, specific for real estate. So the DISC is kind of like a personality I call it like a Cosmo quiz. Like, you know, it's just kind of fun. And once you've done the DISC, you understand how it works, so you could trick the DISC. So that's why we don't use the DISC anymore, because people figured it out. It's too simple. Like you knew that if someone needed a high D for a role, you could make yourself a high D by just changing the words, right? You guys knew that. It didn't take much to figure that out. Whereas this, from the activity that you did, it was able to pull all this out. So when we look at assertiveness, it's kind of like the D, right? And then sociability would be kind of like the I. And responsiveness is kind of like the I, because that's the speed of how you move. And structure would be like what letter? S, right? Those systems people, the checklist, the details, the person that likes to make sure everything's perfect. Obviously, I'm not that person. Adaptability is also S. Like, how much are you comfortable with moving and changing? If you're a high S, you like consistency, stability, structure. I do not. I suck at that. I change the rules every time. In fact, if I have a system, I never follow my own system. And half the time, if there's 5 steps, I'll go from 1 to 4. I might go back to 2, and I may never even finish. Whereas a high S, you're going to go 1, and then you're going to go 2, and then you're going to go 3, and then you're going to go 4, and then you will for surely finish with number 5. So that would be S, would be structure and adaptability. And then I, or intensity, goes back to the D and the I, and optimism would be the C, because C people, if you remember, if you're a high C, you are a super skeptic. Like you didn't believe anything. You needed to see it for yourself. You need the fine print. You would read every detail. So just know it's very similar to DISC, but it's different. So for those of you that are high assertiveness, if you look at the middle. Now, one other thing before I get into that, I forgot. The shape of your graph also tells you something. So by a show of hands for those of in the room and for those of you out in virtual land, who has a graph like mine where it's extremes? You're at one end and then the other end. Who's kind of like that? Raise your hand if you're really all over at the far ends. Okay. Who is kind of all in the middle? Alex? Okay. Alex is chill and I am not. That's the best way of me explaining it. A really intense personality like me, because I'm like woo and woo and woo, looks like this, where you're at extremes. You're on one end and then the other end. You're not kind of in the middle. If you're kind of in the middle, you're a more relaxed person. You don't get too fired up or too down ever. You're just kind of pretty steady. So why does that matter? Well, for different roles you might be hiring for, you might need someone like me with a lot of energy and a lot of intensity. And then for certain roles, you'd be like, crank her down a notch, Jess, right? Not an 11, let's drop it down to 4. I can't do that. That's not normal for me. That is so not natural for me to sit and be like quiet and chill. I am never like that. So if I had to be in a role where I had to do that, can you see I'd be like fidgeting all day and antsy pants? Whereas if Alex, if you were in a role where you have to be on all of a sudden and then not and then on, you'd probably be like, this is exhausting. So there's something to be said about the shape of your graph as well. Okay? Any questions on that? I know it's pretty simple, but it's really quite accurate.
Have you ever taken it twice?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Quite interesting the second time what changes.
Well, and you changed. So that's it. The test didn't change. You did.
No, I know.
Hypothetically, though, the results shouldn't change too much unless, I'm going to tell you that when we can tell if someone's trying to force a test because the results come back null. And if you've dealt with any of the 5 deadly Ds, we call it, your life is in a mess. Because it doesn't matter who you are or how super awesome you are, if you're dealing with any of the 5 Ds, we call it death, disease, divorce, debt. What's the one I forgot? I forgot the 5th D. It's not good though. What was it?
Probably depression.
That's probably it. If you have any of that going on, it doesn't matter. Your tests come out kind of funky. And so sometimes when I do a verification, I can kind of see that. And usually if I just bring that up, it's like waterworks from whoever I'm talking to and whatever's going on in their world, they just expose. And I just say, let's put this aside for now because we'll revisit this later because the results might not be totally spot on. And let's just be honest, if you've ever lost anyone that you are close to, I don't care how much superhero power you have, you are affected and you're not true to yourself. So that would be the exception, I would say, to the rule. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, assertiveness. If you're an assertive person or aggressive person, you are typically leading a team, not a member. No one wants me on a team. You guys would kick me to the curb because I'm aggressive. So I don't care how well you run your team. I'm going to be thinking, I would do it this way. I can't believe they're doing it that way. This is dumb. Why are they asking me to do this? Now, I could join Tisa's team, and I'm going to be honest, Tisa would build a better team than I would, just because she's way more organized than I am. And she's into systems, and I avoid systems. But I still would think that about her team, because that's just how I am wired. So when someone joins a team and they're not really suited to be on a team, I don't care how great the team is, it's a natural rub. Now, the exception to that, I would say, is if I was a brand new agent in a new community and I didn't have a big sphere, I might just suck it up for a year, right? To learn a lot, to learn from someone that's put together a great business. But I know that whole time I'm going to be playing this in my head and it becomes toxic. Doesn't matter, it does. So there's got to be an end in sight if you are that person and you do decide to join a team. And know that that's just naturally probably going to happen. Now on the back end, If you're not an aggressive person, you're more reserved, you typically do better in a team environment. And frankly, you typically are more interested in buyers than sellers for two reasons. Because when you work with a buyer, it's a customer service kind of experience. It's like a friendship you're building, you're helping them, you know, you build a bond, but you don't ever ask them for money. You get paid already, right? You're already getting paid from the other side of the deal. So you're never having to ask for money or defend why you're worth it. An aggressive person, I'm going to run at it and tell you in advance why you're going to pay me, right? And I'm going to have no stress by explaining why I'm worth it. But if you're not, that is really challenging for you to do. It's not natural for you to say, I want 6% commission or 7% commission or 5% commission, whatever, and I'm worth it, and this is why. And this is why you shouldn't pick an agent that's offering a discount. I would think that's fun to win that conversation. That is a very aggressive personality trait, and I'm pretty high on aggression. Who else is high? Raise your hand if you're over the line, more towards aggressive than in the middle.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So we like to list property because we also don't like to be in a car making friends with people on the weekend. I'm just going to tell you that. Whereas some of you might feel like you build your friendship circle by showing a property. I'm going to tell you, if you're hyper aggressive, you like listings and you don't really like the buyers. So you want a showing assistant, right? Now, if you're very reserved, you get lit up by actually the helping of the people. You're motivated by helping, not the money. You have different motivation than I do. Now, I don't want to sound like a jerk and like I'm only money oriented. I'm not that person. But when you look at me on paper, I sure look that way, right? But just know, if you just honor who you are and stop trying to be someone you're not, it's a great feeling. And the truth is, there's so many misunderstandings in real estate that you have to cold call. Aggressive doesn't mean that you like to cold call, because I'm a great example. I never, ever, ever cold called in my life, and I never will, because I'm still very relational, because next is social.
Interesting.
Now, with aggressive plus people oriented, I want to build a business through relationships. I don't want to do it through transaction. And how that's different is, if I was very task oriented, I would see real estate as a process. Okay, so who here is task oriented or more task oriented than people oriented? Raise your hand if you're more task. Okay, no one? Oh, Melanie. Melanie's our only, who? Oh, and Juan. So
Yeah.
You like the task. You like finishing things. You like knowing that there's 3 things done and 2 more steps. I don't. I don't really care. I don't even care if all 5 things happen. But to you, you guys are naturally wired by the transaction and completing it and fulfilling it more than the friend you made at the end. Whereas I love the friend in the end. Now, I might skip half the steps, and yet I'm going to build my business relationally, not through that. Now, task-oriented people also can sabotage. So I'm going to bring this up. When you need leverage, so I'm talking to you, Juan. You're hearing me, brother. When you need things done, your bandwidth we all have a certain bandwidth, and there's no more time in the day, and there's no more gas left in the tank, and you just have nothing left, right? When you're task-oriented, when you hit the ceiling of what you possibly can do on your own, if you don't leverage, you will burn out and you will quit real estate. It's that simple, because you get frustrated because you know you need to do step 1, and then you need to do step 2, and you need to do step 3, and you're not going to go 1, 3, 5. You're not going to, because then you feel like you're failing. You're going to feel like you're failing in customer service, and it's not really true. So you either need to get over it and be able to skip steps and kind of evolve, or you need leverage. So just be aware of that. Sometimes you can be somewhat transactional, though. And so some people that are really low sociability, task-oriented, actually would prefer to work with unmets over mets. So that's another thing to note. So if I have a database of 100 people that I know, and I'm extremely low sociability, I might not ever talk to those people, and I'd rather go meet strangers at an open house and work with them. That's normal for you. That's okay, but just know it. So if you're that person, I keep saying, so have you called your database? Have you offered the stimulus plan? Have you done this? Have you done that? You're probably just gonna shake your head, yeah, Jess, I did it, and you're not gonna do it. Just accept that. You're gonna have more fun and enjoyment working through unmets than through mets. Now, I always put family in this category because none of us ever want to work with our family after you do one deal with any one of them. So family aside, some of you would rather not touch those reputations and relationships you have. That's okay. If you just know that, though, just embrace it and then stop worrying about your 36 touch to your database that you don't want to do. Just accept it. But that means you've got to go after unmets. So again, another thing people sometimes think about themselves is they're bad and wrong because they're not working their database. Well, if you're very unsociable in terms of compared to me, you're not going to want to. So just embrace it. Fair?
Mm-hmm.
Melanie.
So a lot of that is correct. However, the people that I've now met and worked with have become that database that I am.
Melanie's bringing up such a good point. So Melanie has an amazing sphere of influence that she refuses to touch. I can say this because I've been coaching her for how many years? I'm talking thousands of people. And she used to do like charity events. I mean, she's a stud to these people and she refuses to talk to them. However, the people that she met as unmets in real estate now over the last 5 years, she's built relationships with them, but because it started with real estate, she feels comfortable marketing to them. That's normal for her. And that is okay. If you're like Melanie, there's nothing wrong with that. Juan, that might be what it's picking up with you. I mean, because look at your sphere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that resonate with you a little?
Oh yeah, just a little bit.
So here's what I want you to do. Hear me for both of you. Don't worry about your 36 touch. To the friends you had before real estate. If you're not going to do it, don't worry about it. Let it go because that's negativity, right? Be true to yourself. That's what I want you to hear today is you all have a path to super success in real estate, but be true to yourself. Don't say, well, I took this class and Jake and Corelli said I should cold call. And Jeff Borm said I need this kick butt 36 touch. And Jessica says I need to call everyone about their stimulus plan. Just do you, okay? So I hope you find you today, okay? So we'll go back down to responsive. Responsiveness is the speed you work at. There's no good or bad in this, but if you're gonna partner with someone, this is an important one to look at. So let's just say Melanie and I are gonna partner on even an event. I mean, we may not partner in business, but say we're gonna co-host an event together and co-market it so we both have good turnout. And Melanie, I know she's fast probably on this. We both are, but let's just say she was super low on this responsive and she's very chill and very calm. Who is very low on this and super calm? Anyone? Okay, Juan. With my pace, I would drive her nuts if she's super calm, but I'd also get stressed out by her being too calm. So a good example of this, we'll talk leads. If you have brought leads in whatever capacity, Facebook, event, whatever, and I want to join your team or work as a showing assistant or whatever, and I'm calm, that is not good. You want me on those leads, don't you? You want me fast. You want me to respond in 2 seconds when you text me, like, I'm on it. So that is an important line to know when you're interviewing people, especially support people, because you guys need it done. When you say it, you're like, is it done? Is it done, right? And know that if you are going to be an admin, you might not want to work for me because I'm like, is it done yet? Kevin can tell you this. I'm like, I come up with an idea at 8 a.m. and I'm looking at him at 9:30 saying, is it done yet? Is it done yet? Is there a draft I can look at? You know, he's like, seriously, dude, I'll give one to you tomorrow. You know, so the other part to that is that's more like a supporting role, but I think it's really critical to bring up because there's so much to that. So if you are high responsiveness, whoever you surround yourself with must be similar or you will want to poke your eyeballs out. Okay. Transaction coordinator, give your transaction coordinator one of these tests. Well, happy to do it. Okay. Structure. Do you like the rules or do you like to break them? That's really it. I'm a rule breaker.
Mhm.
Who else likes flexibility?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, most of us. T says no.
Yeah, I feel like that is the one thing that this got wrong. I like the rules when I make them.
Oh, I like her response. She says, I like the rules when I make the rules.
So I do like all the rules as long as they're ones that I.
Yeah, so most of us are rule breakers, and that's partly why we're interested in this career, because we don't want to have a job working for anybody, right? We want to answer to ourselves.
Mhm.
I think you just hit the nail on the head because I am somewhat of a rule follower.
Mhm.
Not to one side, I probably right in the middle, although this doesn't show that. I'm not working for anybody else.
Right.
That's-
Yeah. We like structure, most of us. That's why we're here. Entrepreneurial spirits need flexibility. And once you learn how to make money in real estate, you're kind of unemployable, because who would take a job now? Right? Now,
Mhm.
even though I have a job, I don't feel like I do, because I've been in my role and just doing it my way for so long. If I actually thought I was an employee for a second, I might have a meltdown, right? Because I have been myself for so long, and deciding what I'm going to do. I don't like, hey, Nikki, can I do this? She'd be like, why are you asking me? Right? I'm a leader in my role long enough that I just do. So I don't feel like that. And yet with flexibility, there's also the curse is being able to self-manage yourself. So for me, I'm so low in structure that if I don't have a coach, I wane. I'm going to tell you that. If it wasn't for my coach, and I know he's going to call me at 11:30 on Tuesday, I do get nervous before that. I'm like, oh my God, did I get whatever I said I was going to do? I can't remember what I said. Did it get done? Right? So I'm so much better with that little bit of structure, even if it's just that call that I know is happening. So for those of you that are as low in structure as me, even a friend to have lunch with once a week, or a call or a glass of wine to say, how's that thing going that you said you were going to do, is enough. If you don't go formal, but I need formal coaching in order to hit my potential. And I just kind of let myself down slowly. And then I realize I'm not where I want to be, or I kind of plateau without that little poke every now and then. So just be aware of that. Any other questions or thoughts on that? Okay. Adaptability is your ability. Okay, so how nice are you? No, just kidding. This is your customer service. I think this one's the best with if you're looking for people to work for you, you probably want high accommodating to yourself. You want someone extremely accommodating. There's no one higher accommodating than Kevin. So Kevin and I'm so grateful to have him in my world, but I can like throw him like a monkey wrench and he just shifts gears and it's like no big deal to him. He's not like offended. But if Kevin wasn't that, because I have so many ideas and I have to shift gears and put out fires and my day changes all the time, that's just the job, right? That's my role. If he was low accommodating, we would have a problem, right? Houston, we have a problem. He would be so irritated by me that he would not be able to deal with me. So if you are super independent, when you choose a support person in your life, I'm talking anyone, I'm talking even spouse or friends, inner circle, you want that accommodating person, because the thing with extremes is you need balance. Your people around you need to balance you. Any thoughts on that? Questions? I don't want to roll too fast.
I'm like on the accountability side,
Mm-hmm.
accommodating side, but like lower, just over that middle. What's ideal for me? Someone that's independent?
Someone that's equal or more accommodating than you. As long as they're with you or above you in accommodating, you're good. If they're not accommodating, you're going to be like, seriously, dude, can't you get this done for me? Can't you just stop what you're doing for 5 minutes and make me this flyer that I need? Yep. Any support person that's helping you. Now, if you're super accommodating, some of the roles that are going to pop up for you are going to be a team member. And let's be honest, if you're an agent, okay, and you're looking to add someone to your team, and you just took a kick butt listing this weekend, and one of their big things was there better be an open house every weekend, you're going to need an accommodating team member that's going to say, I'll do it, right? Not like, oh, sorry, No, not doing it. You want accommodating. So just know if you're looking for leverage and a supporting cast member, that's going to be important.
So even if, I mean, I'm just thinking like, you actually don't want too much accommodating if you're hiring, let's say, an assistant, because then they're always just gonna say yes, and
Well,
they might not.
as long as they can run themselves,
Yeah.
you do want high accommodating. But if they were low structure, that's not going to work. If they were middle to high structure and liked rules, and you were able to explain to them what their priorities for the day were, you want them to move their day around for you, don't you?
Yeah.
So accommodating is really important, but the structure that they best thrive in should be higher. See how those two kind of go together? Intensity is, go ahead.
So, I mean, I think of flexibility and accommodating as being synonymous, and yet they're at opposite ends on this chart.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So,
a question.
okay, so no, I'm hearing you. So you said, say it again, just because we had kind of some noise in here. What did you say? Say it one more time.
Flexibility and accommodating are synonymous to me, and yet they are at opposite ends on this chart. How is that?
Look at the word on the left. So structure is, what world are they going to thrive in? Is there a lot of flexibility, or is it more rigid with rules?
Okay.
And adaptability, think of customer service. Does that help? Like,
yeah, it does. And
think
I
of
scored
structure
pretty
as an
high.
environment, and adaptability is their customer service. Like, are they willing to drop everything? That means they're extremely accommodating for someone. Are they willing to clean the house before the closing? Have you guys ever done that? I have. That's accommodating, right? So just know I guess that would be the way I would separate that. Structure is your environment, and then adaptability I called customer service, but it's how willing are you to like go over the top?
So in this business, it took me, I am very non-adaptable or was even more so. My schedule was my schedule, and in this business, you have to be somewhat adaptable because you know,
priorities change.
Right, exactly, on a daily basis. But in leveraging, you want that person to be accommodating. But in the structure part,
you want them to be structured. So for admin,
those models and systems to work with. So to like those
admin, and I don't mean to say admin because this could be your cleaning lady. This could be the person that watches your kids. This could be any important person in your life. The supporting cast member, we'll call them, because that's not a better way of saying it. You want likes rules, likes accommodating. You want those two features if you can, because if they like rules, they'll stick to their rhythm and their routine. They'll follow the system that you taught them that you want followed. They're not going to go off on La La Land and kind of just change things on you. So that's important. Intensity is obviously pace, speed, energy. What energy, and I'm high energy, you guys know that. I'm not relaxed. You don't really catch me relaxed much unless I'm sleeping. That's about it. Like, I don't care what I'm doing. If I'm working, if I'm playing, I work hard, play hard is like my phrase. That is what it shows up on intensity. If you're more laid back, you're going to show up as relaxed. There's nothing right or wrong about this. I would say that that's just more of a truth. It's not like you're better at real estate when you're intense. That's not necessarily true. It's more, who are you probably going to connect with? Because more relaxed people like relaxed people. They don't necessarily want to be with some, 100-mile-an-hour hair on fire person all the time. But that's just how I'm wired, and I'm not changing. None of us are changing. We're just true to ourselves. And optimism is really, are you a skeptic or a rose-colored glasses? I'm kind of in the middle. That's the only one that I'm kind of in the middle. And I would say if I took this test when I was 30, not 45, I was more optimistic. I've gotten beaten down in life. No, just kidding.
that's a true story.
I have tempered here because I've learned enough. I've face planted enough. I'm a better business person now. I used to take things for what I thought they were, not check into things a little better. So I've learned a little there. And I think it's tempered my optimism, but I'm still a genuinely optimistic person. And yet, something to think about, if you're picking someone that's going to sit next to you all day and work, do you want a negative Nelly?
No.
Do you want someone that you went to a class, Alex, and you learned these are the 12 steps to get a listening to self faster, and you give it to your assistant and they're like, I don't think it's true. No, you want, okay, sounds like a brilliant idea, right? You want an implementer. So I think there's clues in all this. So when you're getting true to know yourself, it's just yourself. This is you.
Mhm.
Now, you may not agree with everything. So Tisa had one that she didn't necessarily agree with based off of this conversation. Does anyone else have one they're like, I don't know about this?
Yeah,
Or do you think you're pretty accurate? Anyone have one?
to me, it is the optimism. Personally, I always thought I was very optimistic, too optimistic on everything. And yet, the test trait shows that my bar is at number 2 towards skeptical.
So what I want you to do, Juan, is go down to the actual optimism one and read it. Okay? And Tisa, what was yours that you said was maybe not quite right?
It was structure.
Structure. So go to the structure one for you and read it to yourself for a second.
So it,
Okay.
That's a good.
So
That's
then
a good.
it nails you, right? Did it nail you, Juan?
Yep. It nailed me in the head.
So what did you say, Brian? I'm sorry, I missed it.
So I was going to say it's a good point because I don't score very low on many of them, but one of the lower ones is logical problem solving. And my wife always says I have no common sense, right? Take offense to that. But then if you look at what it says in mine about low problem solving, there's actually a big positive, and it says that I'm able to break down bigger problems into smaller areas. What does it say? I can't find it again. But
Well, I think you're working off your full KPA, which is fine because you have it, which is great because you got a little bit more detail than some of the others do. So if you guys are like, where is he? What page is he on? That's going to be your full report. So don't sweat it. I'll get you your full report. But it's kind of creepy how accurate this is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's no right or wrong because I've heard you guys say a few things. So I just want to set one thing straight. There's no good score on this. It's not good to be high or low. You are who you are. It's just helpful to know who you are so you know where to work from. Here's what I want you to hear. Don't try to be who you're not. Embrace who you are and then put the blinders on the stuff that you're not. Because if there's a class on how to cold call and you're pretty low assertiveness, you're going to sit in that room and want to throw up the whole time and be like, I'm not going to do this, right? Whereas, yeah, exactly. Bold might not be your favorite thing. Whereas if there's a class on networking and your high sociability, you're like, this is the best class ever. Now, I always hear this in a couple different ways. So I'll stop sharing this for a second. A couple different ways this comes out. Like, I'll just pick on you guys. Tisa might come up to me and say, you know who the best trainer in our whole company is? And she'll say X person. And then Melanie say, you know who the best trainer in the whole company is? Y person. And then Alex, Z. And you might be A. Truth is, you are attracted to who you are. And so when you go to classes, if there's someone that really resonates with you, go to all their classes. Go find them on Connect and like their classes. Start following them because they're your style. That's really all that you're identifying with. So just be aware of that because, that's the truth. And I just, Kristen, I honestly didn't realize you were raising your hand. So if you guys want to speak up, because I can't see everyone at once, just unmute and speak up so I don't miss anybody. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. I just didn't want to interrupt. So like for since I started a few years ago, 3 years ago, you've always said, oh, your KPA says you're an admin. Oh, your KPA says you're not. And I've never felt right about that. I can't really tell because I think I probably have the shorter KPA. I'm trying to figure out if when I took it now, if it still says that.
Well, you guys can take it again. The only thing you got to do is let Michelle at the front desk have a different email because it only lets you use one test per email. So if you used your KW email, no, they've made that rule now. So you may have to use a Gmail or Yahoo. Just if you really are doubting, take it again. There's no, it's just your time. There's no problem.
This is a new one. I'm just trying to figure out like where can I see what roles it says that I'm with this KPA? Because this is a new.
Great question, and I started really early, and most of you weren't on yet.
Sorry.
So I'm going to back up for 1 second and screen share what I started with, because it'll just take a second. In the very beginning, I showed you guys my screen for the full report, and I got to make sure I'm sharing the right thing for you guys. I am good. If you look, when we get the results, you get the personal report and the job fit report if you did the full one. If you did that, like it's 40 minutes or half hour, whatever. The short one takes 10 minutes or less. That's only going to give you the personal report. If you did the full one, you've got the whole kit and caboodle, which we're going to share with you. And yet no one scores high for much. Usually I score high for pretty much a lot, but usually it's 2 or 3 things. So don't be alarmed. And low doesn't mean you're not going to be able to do it. You're just not going to have fun doing it. You're going to be tired by the end of the day. So you'll get this report after this class.
Oh, after the class? Okay, thank you.
Now, so did anyone have any ahas or epiphanies on, I mean, is it pretty accurate? Nod, yes, no, what do you guys think? Accuracy? Did it nail you?
Extremely.
Yep, Scott, you said absolutely. Alex, yep, the whole team here is like, yep. Anyone not agree with it? Okay. So do you see how you could use this in a couple different ways? From admin to figuring out what's next for you? Because here's the thing, you're in the world of opportunity, the land of opportunity with Keller Williams. These are all the different paths you could take. And you guys have one of the top market centers in the world that you're partnered with. And these opportunities exist for all of you. We got talks with independents all around us about roll-ins. And so hopefully our opportunities with Wesley Chapel and West Chase open faster than, because it kind of totally stalled with COVID, to be honest with you. Everything stalled with COVID. So there's new offices opening. There's leadership opportunities. We're looking for 2 more team leaders right now. We might even bring another ATL in. There's an MCA opportunity right now. There's an assistant MCA opportunity right now. There's opportunity in every role right now. Actually, we're understaffed, to be honest with you, in one way or another in every office. And we have other offices to open. So if you were interested in leadership, you guys, that opportunity exists. You know, if you really wanted to grow as a leader, you know, if your production supports it, I'll introduce you to the ALC. It's another way to level up and kind of grow as a person. And I'm always looking for people to give me feedback. And ALC is kind of like my board of directors of how am I doing and what should I be doing next, guys? And they're my crew that I can bounce ideas and they say, you are crazy, or that's a great idea, you know? And I need that. And then there's you as a business owner. Are you going to thrive on your own? Or are you going to thrive being part of something? Are you going to thrive building something? And that's really what I want you to know is there's no limit and there's no box, Kristen. So if it says you're good at something, it doesn't mean you have to do that, right? It's not saying, oh, you must be an admin. No, it just means that you have a better capacity at doing that than I do, right? If I was an admin, I would, first of all, get fired quickly.
Hey, Jess, can you talk to the point of, so when we represented at my first one I took.
Okay.
And I'm assuming from what because I have the whole thing, right? Because you verified it and you've done that. And so it was for job fit for single agent.
So we can pull the whole thing and we can pull you through for every role. Yeah. So the cool thing is if you took the profile for a particular role, like say Melanie was interviewing for assistant team leader and the job fit was, you know, medium, and yet single agent was high, I can take the profile and run it through for every role and you'll get a full KPA for each one.
Well, the only reason why I'm asking is so I laugh because online says accountant. So I have like 7 high things, right?
Well, you'd make a phenomenal MCA. Just saying, if you want an MCA role, I got one I know about.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, you know, because I didn't understand that, and I don't think most people understand that.
Yeah, so when you take this, I can pull it through for any single role. What I typically do is pull what you're high at, so we can verify it. And you'd be like, oh my God, this thing nailed me. And then I show you what you also were thinking of doing and show you where that might be a little different or a little lower or where the rubs might lie. And it's a really cool conversation to have. And usually that's around single agent. So for those of you that aren't sure like what's next for you, it's a good segue to what we're talking next is I'm going to have you do a survey. I'm going to send it out to all of you. Any one of you can take it, but it's to be on a team or not to be on a team, basically. And what would you be looking for? Would you just want admin support and a lower cap, or do you want someone that's going to lead you and give you leads and hold you accountable? You're all different people. And so this profile or this survey is real short. I'll send it out to all of you. Anyone that wants to fill it out, do it. And I'll follow up afterwards with a conversation with you. So if you want to go further into this, just fill that out and that'll be my clue that, yeah, let's keep the conversation going. Now, any more on that? I'm not going to go through like if you should join a team or if you should build a team or the benefits of, because they're all very different. Each team's very different pluses and minuses to everything. So that's more of a one-to-one conversation. I don't really know how to do that in large group. So I guess what I'd say is complete the survey if you have interest. Is that fair? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. And then we'll dive deeper on that one-to-one. Now let's switch gears because I've really gone long and I only have like 12 minutes to talk about your sweet spot. And I'm going to send you a couple things to everybody. And I'm just going to send it to the whole office because I can't tell who's even on the Zoom. I got to figure that part out, how to get a list of who's on. But I want you to know that I'm so passionate about this that I built a class, I don't know, I think 2016 or maybe 2014 when I think I came here in 2014. So 2015 or 2016, I started a class called Capper Camp. Huh?
Yes, and it was so good.
Oh, Melanie was part of Capper Camp. She said it was good.
Yeah, I love that.
Alex was in Capper Camp, and I almost feel like doing it again.
Do it.
Do it. I got to do it. But what it was is because I get it that you don't have to cold call to be good at this. And yet, geez Louise, you go to some of these classes and it kind of makes you feel bad if you don't, right? Or makes you feel like you're weak or you're not going to make it or it's going to be hard for you if you don't do this. And I feel like that pollutes you so badly if you're not wired to do it. And I started in this business and I wasn't any interest in doing that. And I grew up in real estate so early on that was really how you only lead generated was prospecting. And so I was really good at open houses. So I built my business on open houses and relationships and networking. And I kicked butt. So I created a class to tell you that and say, you just got to figure you out and like turn off the white noise that you hear around you because that pollutes your mindset, doesn't it? It totally pollutes your mindset. And the last thing we want is that. It's so true, right? So Capper Camp was really identifying your sweet spot and also telling you a few truths. So there's a truth of lead generation. Now, if you wouldn't mind for those of you that are on through Zoom, in the chat, I'd love it if you're willing or able to just type in what 2 different types of lead generation you like to focus on. And then we'll talk about it in here, just so that we can kind of trade notes. So, and if you're able, chat. If you can't and you're not able to do it, I get it. But what are 2 things that you think are pretty okay to do from you guys?
My favorite.
Client appreciation stuff from Alex. And networking. So highly relational, love on your people and they love on you back, right? And do you talk about real estate the whole time or is it just more about getting with people and connecting with people? What does that sound like or look like to you? Just connecting. So that's something that Alex does. She doesn't bring up like, please send me business. It's not like you don't even want to go there, right? You want to make sure they know it's about them, right? So that's Alex. Melanie? Open houses and
Pre-COVID door knocking.
and pre-COVID door knocking. Okay. And Tisa?
Agent referrals and open houses.
Agent referrals and open houses. And then for those of you guys that are chatting, networking, informational events. Okay, informational events, that's a clue from Kristen. She likes to earn it. She won't ask for it, but she'll earn it. If you're one of those people, just know you're normal, okay? I'm the same way. I am programmed. I don't know if it's because I'm Lutheran or what. And from the Midwest, but you never asked for business. That was like bad, you know?
I'm Lutheran and from the Midwest.
Oh my God, there you go. We're like soul sisters.
And I
And yet,
can't
you know
cold
what?
call. And I
Like, no,
can't cold call.
yeah, like that, you were disrespectful if you did that. I was programmed that way. Open houses, networking, Facebook leads, open houses. Great. So you guys see you've got different things. Here is the truth. Whatever you're doing for lead generation, it doesn't matter. I hope you hear me. It does not matter. It's just that you're doing something. And the rule of 20 is truth. You have to get in front of or have about 20 interactions before you run into a lead. It's proven. Why do you think in Bold, they wanted you to make 20 contacts a day? Because they knew probably you're going to stumble into something by then, right? It may have happened at number 5 interaction. It may not happen till number 19, but somewhere between whatever you're doing, if it's open houses or networking or door knocking or events or whatever, it's about 20. The hard part though is if you're going to just do open houses like I did, you had to do a lot of them to get 20 people to have 20 conversations, right? So some of you just have to know that the rule of 20 exists and that however you decide to do it, it's okay. Just decide to do it that way. However, are you getting in front of 20 a week at least or a day? And depending on your financial needs and goals, that's going to dictate it. The second thing I'm going to share from Capper Camp is I used to have you guys fill out this form, and I'm going to put it out there. So anyone that wants to do it, I'll do a coaching session around this with you. And the example was gross $100,000, because most people say that would be a great goal, right? 6 figures. And truth be told, you're going to net somewhere between $60,000 and $40,000, depending on how much money you spend doing it. And so this is an example of really how simple it is. But the truth is, for those of you that are more into unmets than mets, it's going to be harder. And this is why. The rule of conversion is this. If you know someone, 1 out of 10 of them will have some sort of real estate need every year. Be it refi, I mean, that counts, to selling or buying or investing or flipping or massive remodel, you know, and they need you for advice or whatever. Really, if you have 10 people, there is something going on or something in their immediate family, like their mother or their son or their this or that. So if you do choose to work a database, you just need to talk to about 10 people a day and you usually stumble upon something. Whereas if you meet with strangers, it's 50 to 1. That's a lot of work, isn't it? So if I'm going to go blindly to a networking event, don't go hang off in the corner with the 4 people you already knew, right? You need to go introduce yourself, like speed date 50 people before you really typically will bump into something. So when we preach database, it's simply for that fact. You have to hustle if you're going to work unmets. And you probably will be somewhat transactional. You'll probably be focused on Facebook ads, and you'll probably be focused on Zillow leads, and you'll probably be focused on that, which is okay. I'm not saying that's not okay. That's okay, but you need the volume. And does that make sense? Because that's really critical to understand. So the rest of this is you basically deciding what you want to do. And this is the coaching appointment we do around it, which I'm happy to do with any one of you. I'm very passionate about each of you having success. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't do it from your sweet spot, you'll probably fail. You will probably fail. Yes. And I don't want anyone to fail. Yes.
Where are you going to put that form?
I'm going to just email everything to everyone because I don't know who's all on. So I'm just going to shoot it in an email to the whole roster.
Thank you.
And the truth is, you guys are all gifted. You all have something special about you. I would really love you to work from your special sweet spot where you're high energy, going to blossom, and you're going to be fulfilled. Don't try to work on your weaknesses. Ditch the weaknesses. Deep six them. Don't, you know, psychology had a shift in psychology. If you ever study psychology and sociology, for years, like in the 50s and the 40s and the 30s, they always tried to fix people, right? And then they went to positive psychology. And with children, if you weren't great at math, they got you a tutor, right? Now, if you're not great at math, but you're great at art, they get you into art classes. Well, I want you to find your art class. I want you to find your sweet spot. And I really would put the blinders up to everything else, because none of that matters. All you have to be good at is one thing.
Well, it's hard too. One of the gold laws, don't compare your inside from the outside. And, I happen to sit next to the social media queen.
Yes.
And so it's hard because, when you see her post 20 times a day or in a week, and then you post once, but that's not my.
But that's her sweet spot.
Right, and not mine. And
Yep.
so I have to stop myself and say, it's not my thing,
That's a great aha.
I only do what I can do.
So I've got 3 minutes, so I want to take a few more ahas. Anyone online have an aha or anything that's resonating with them, or they're feeling it on anything in particular? Anyone learn anything about themselves, or anything you're taking action on? Anything you're willing to share?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, this thing nailed me right between the eyes. That's pretty cool. The thing I'm picking up is basically, if I'm interested in starting a team, is basically use this to find my complementary components that I need in each of the positions.
You got
in
it.
my case, I'm very calm, so I need a very hyperactive assistant and to make sure things get done. In the other ways that my item here that says, but I'm very much also assertive to make sure everything needs to get done now.
So what you need is you need someone that's super fast. You need super intense, super fast, super accommodating.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you this one. Don't find a friend that needs a job. Go find someone from real estate that already knows what you need and can read your mind already. And you're going to be a lot happier. Don't find a friend that needs a job that thinks they can be a marketing person, because they don't even know what to do or how to help you. And you will just be frustrated, and you'll even go further back. So that would be the rule I'd give you, is don't hire anyone that doesn't already know how to write a contract, know how to do certain things. Make that a barrier of entry for you from a supporting role all the way to team member, because you're a giver and you will take them under your wing, and then you're going to have even less time in your world. And because you are like this, if they don't know how to do it, it's going to drive you nuts, and it's going to take you more time to slow down to show them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine, because that could be the mistake you make. But think of how good it would feel if you slow down a little and find the right person that can read your mind already and anticipate what you're supposed to be doing and say, hey, what if I just did this? And you're like, yes, do that for me. So just keep that in mind, because that's a mistake we sometimes make. And especially with COVID, there's a lot of people looking for opportunity. Just know that the worst hire you can make in an administratively role, especially if it's your first, is trying to help someone that doesn't know what you need. That's not leverage. Great aha. One more. Let's take one more. Anyone else have anything they were willing to share or resonating with them? You guys, anything?
I've got something that this is just such a wake-up call. I think it's so accurate, and I don't do this for business development reasons, being involved in the community and leadership roles, but obviously I use that as business development. And there's one board I just can't wait to get off of, and I read this and now I know why. Why I'm frustrated, because of my style versus the styles of other people on the board.
Right.
And now there's a new board I'm thinking about going on, and I'm not sure exactly how to use it unless I could get everybody else there to take this, but to see if there are people that I can work with without being very frustrated.
Well, here's one thing I'll tell you, Scott, because it would be hard to get everyone that you know on a board to do a KPA, especially like at church or something. Like, why are you sending me this profile, right? It's like, are you friend worthy or not, right? Are you going to drive me nuts, or are we going to be friends later? So here's the advice I'd give you is, now to what those rubs are. And you can think of maybe some personality traits, like, are they slow talkers? I can't freaking stand slow talkers, right? Or people that can't make a decision, or people that are slow to move, especially like in a board. So if those are some of the natural rubs that you're already sensing, you'll just be hyper aware at maybe the first meeting you sit in to know, like, am I going to invest time in this or am I going to gracefully exit? And you'll be aware now. You will.
Well, that's the cool thing. So Alex drives me crazy some days, but in a good way, because she's made me have a more open mind, because I get very like this, where the assertiveness comes in, right? I'm just like, we're doing this and this is how we're doing it. And she goes, hold up. And she sits back like this and she makes me think. Well, she thinks and then tells me what I should be thinking.
Yeah.
And so
you balance each other.
Yes, and it works really well, but it made me have to open my mind to get there.
That's good because she slows you down to look at a new perspective.
Yes.
So it's very good. Yeah, there's a lot of good in here. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm already 2 minutes over. I apologize. I try to always be honoring your time. I'll shoot everything I was going to do in an email with the link to the survey. If you want to follow up with me and go deeper into this, I'm going to wait for that survey to come back to me. That'll be the clue that I know we've got more to do together. And yet I hope you found value in today, guys. Here's the thing. Be true to you. You're awesome. You don't need to create a different version of you. Just be you and know that every one of you have a way to win. So cool. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
And we'll be coming into the office more if you guys want to come and see me. I miss y'all.
Oh,
Bye.
same here. Bye.